Welcome to CARDESIGN.ACADEMY. Today I'm going to be showing you the basics of building a vehicle package in Gravity Sketch. Now this is something you can do in just about any CAD program or CAD software. However, Gravity Sketch comes with some really nice tools that are unique to Gravity Sketch that make it very, very easy and very quick to set up a vehicle package. Now, what is a vehicle package? It's a dimensional drawing that has all of the known key dimensions that go into building a vehicle. Now, oftentimes the package is provided to you by an engineer. However, I think it's important that designers understand and are able to participate in the development of vehicle packaging. So I'm going to show you how it's done here. We're going to use two very different types of vehicles. We're going to use a we're going to do a low H point vehicle, which is a sports car, and we're going to do a high H point vehicle, which is a full-size truck. These are based on sketch demos I did last year, and you can see those on the YouTube channel. But what does H point mean? H point is a key determinant in the placement of the occupant. It means hip point. So the location in X, Y, and Z space of where the occupant's hip point is, that's a very, very key dimension in determining for the placement of those occupants. Obviously, a sports car is going to have a low H point. The pickup truck is going to have a high H point. There's a lot of other things that go along with that, which we'll get into. I also have a chart with some key vehicle dimensions. These are based on known dimensions of comparable vehicles. So for the truck, I use the F-150 dimensions. For the sports car, I have the C8 Corvette. I have some key dimensions, including the wheelbase, tire sizing, overall length, width, and height, and the tire spec. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with some of the tools that Gravity Sketch offers to make package development very, very easy and very fast. So under prefabs, I'm going to click on that. We have a male and a female mannequin, and we'll get to those very soon. But we also have what's called the rigged chassis. This is a really nice tool. It just came with the new update, and this enables you to in real time change the dimensions of your vehicle. You can change your length, you can change your width, you can change tire sizing, tire profiles, but then you can also type in very, very precise dimensional numerical numbers for these dimensions. So I can go right to this chart here, and let's say, for example, we're going to do the sports car first. We have a wheelbase of 2723. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to type in 2723, and you can see the wheelbase instantly adjusts to that. Now for the width, it's a little tricky because we actually measure, if you've heard the term track, the track is actually measured at the center, from center to center of the tire. So if you're looking for overall width, you simply just add the width of a tire to the track dimension. So if I have the overall width of 1933, let's round that up to 2,000 or 2 meters. And then we have a tire width of 325 millimeters. Let's round that down to 300. And let's say 2,000 minus 300 is 1,700. So we're gonna put that in the track dimension here, 1700. Okay, and then we're gonna get into our tire sizing. So again, 325 is the tire. 325. You can see the tire just got quite a bit wider. Our aspect ratio is going to be, now aspect ratio is actually a percentage of tire of. So when you look at if you look at the tire sizing that's printed on the side of a tire, or any of the published tire dimensions, that middle number is actually a percentage of the tire tread width. So 35 is the correct aspect ratio. And then we're going to do for rim size a 21-inch wheel. So we're going to say R21. Okay, so that gives us the correct wheel and tire size for a C8 Corvette. Very easy. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to turn on my mirror plane. And I'm going to move these objects out of the way. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to position the sketch into the and onto the center plane. So what I do is I grab the sketch and I'm going to start to scale it up. I'm going to keep it out here where the wheels are. And I'm just going to scale it up till the wheels and tires roughly match. By the way, this was a freehand sketch. I did not draw this over a package. So okay, so I've got it generally positioned. Then I'm just going to, using Smart Move, which is where you align the controllers, I'm going to just move it towards the center plane. And as it approaches the center plane, it's going to snap into position. So that's how we get the sketch on center plane. Now I can take that sketch layer and I can ghost it a bit. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in our mannequin. So to do that, we're going to go back to our prefabs menu, and I'm going to grab the mannequin. I'm going to stick him into this box here, which is our scaling tool. And you can see there's a mannequin. He's already in the correct scale. I'm just going to turn him around so he's facing forward, and click the check the box here, and now we have a mannequin. I'm going to give him a white toon shader to match the tires. Okay, so to position the mannequin, we're going to slide him back to about where his H point is going to be, and I'm going to turn on the control points. So you can see there's actually two sets of control points. One are these green points, which give you very general movement, and then if I take my right joystick and I click it to the right, I get far more adjustment, even down to the fingers. So I usually like to just use this one, and we're going to start by, actually I'm just going to start by just tilting him this way and getting the H point about where it's going to be. So I'm going to align it sort of with the edge of the door there. It's going to have to get a little bit lower even. It's a very low car. So now I'm going to turn on my control points, and I'm going to start just bending the legs. Maybe sit him up a little bit. And then I'm going to position his arms for steering. Steering should be about aligned with the shoulder for a low H point vehicle. I can turn it this way to get a better view, make sure he's fairly symmetrical. Okay, so bring him down just a little bit more, down and rearward. Okay, now there's some, we'll get into some of the other considerations once we have this thing drawn, but generally speaking, we have a package. We have in position within a silhouette with a proper set of wheels and tires. So the next thing we would do is start to draw the vehicle. So here I'm just gonna say occupant for this layer. Okay, so I'm going to add a new layer. That's going to be the silhouette. We'll call it sports car. Okay, so now we're going to start to draw out the vehicle. I'm going to use the ink brush tool. I'm going to go to a black shader, flat material. That's going to give us a nice dark pen line. And the other thing I'm going to do is set the set the ink tool in the menu here to planar, you can see this little square plane appears, and you can see what's happening is my ink brush is snapping to that plane. Now I want to put that plane up on center line, so what I'm going to do is what I'm going to do is grab it with my trigger on the left side and kind of pull the trigger halfway, and it gives me some control. And you can see that it's snapping itself to the vertical plane, and then I can just bring it to the center plane and it'll just snap to that. Okay, so now I can just draw on the center plane. So I'll show you a little bit about drawing lines in Gravity Sketch. It might seem like a pen, but you are drawing three-dimensionally, so I end up doing a lot of editing with my lines, but I typically draw fairly slow. Okay, and then I'll go in and turn on the control points. This button here simplifies the points. It'll just reduce the number of points. The fewer points you have, the less opportunity there is for lumps and bumps. But what's really cool about the planar tool is I can move these points around and they will stay snapped to that center plane. Okay, and then I'll just go in and draw all of the key lines, adjusting the points as I go. So let me lock the sketch layer here. What's nice is you get this nice little thick and thin at the ends of these lines. Okay, so I'm just sketching out all of the major theme lines. You can see I'm being very sloppy at first, and then I just simplify the points, and then I go in and adjust them to get a nice line. This process is actually very reminiscent of what we used to do with tape drawings. This was what we used to do a long time ago to do a package drawing. I'm gonna just get rid of the occupant for a little bit here, just so I can focus on these lines. You can see, using the planar tool makes it very easy. And I can just take this line and duplicate it a few times. You see very quickly I have a nice representation of the side of this vehicle. So then if I want to if I want to make this a bit more dimensional, right? What I can start to do is grab these objects and bring them out in space. And you can see it's not quite aligned to the actual tire, so I just make that adjustment. And I can also tilt it a little bit. It'll actually still stay planar, but you can see, typically on a wheel well, you want the bottom to come in a little bit. So let's bring this one out. This one's much closer to fitting. I'm gonna tilt this one in a little bit as well. But even when I tilt it, it stays locked to that plane. So it's a great way to have a lot of control over your lines. Okay, now I can start to bring some of the theme lines out. So I'm just going to grab all these lines and bring them out. I'm just tilting everything. To give it some dimension. Now, with this line, it's going to become very dimensional. So I have to take it off of being on the planar lock. So I just turn that off, and now I can move these points freely. And what I'm going to do is extend this line all the way to center. And since this windscreen actually goes down below the fenders, the tops of the fenders, so you can see now I have this very dimensional line for the canopy. And then I'm going to take the center line and just to sort of define the edge of that canopy, I'm just going to repeat the center line. I'm going to scale it down and tilt it out just a little bit. So now you can see I have a nice dimensional representation of the package. I'll just turn my occupants back on. So you can see, very quickly we're starting to get a nice dimensional representation. So now I've done a bit more work and completed a pretty nice detailed three-dimensional representation of the sports car. And as you can see, it's all done in wireframe using the ink tool, and just trying to cover every aspect of the design theme and its design intent, which is great because now I can go inside the vehicle and have a pretty nice spatial representation of what it's going to be like inside this vehicle. As you can see, the windshield is extremely low. There's going to be very, very nice unparalleled downward vision, outward visibility. You're going to see the fenders coming up on the sides, which is really cool. And then I've also incorporated some powertrain elements. So I have here a battery pack behind the occupants. I have a pair of electric motors, front and rear. So this would be an all-wheel drive electric vehicle. Now you can see I did not do the pancake style battery because this is such a low H point vehicle. There's really no room to put a battery pack under the floor and still keep the occupants as low as they need to be for this silhouette. So let's talk a little bit about some of the key considerations when it comes to packaging an occupant. Okay, so we talked about H point. H point is basically the distance between the driver's hip and the ground. So actually it's measured at the center of the hip point. So that's the H point, the key dimension. Okay. We also want to consider back angle. So back angle in a low H point vehicle tends to be a lot more lean back. That also helps keep the roof profile down. We also want to talk about hip to heel. Hip to heel is a very important dimension. So if we take a point here where the heel is and a point where the hip is and measure that distance, hip to heel in a sports car is extremely low. You can also see that the hand position for the steering wheel is about aligned with the shoulder. Okay. And then we also want to start talking about outward visibility, downward vision to the road. As you can see, the position of the windscreen is extremely low. So this car is going to have excellent downward visibility. Okay. So you can see I can see the road really well. Okay. Let's talk about ingress and egress. This is a critical point right here. This is called, actually there's 2 points. These are called ingress targets. Ingress targets are if you're getting in and out of the vehicle, especially in a lower vehicle, you're going to have to be able to duck your head through these ingress targets to get in the vehicle. And then to get out of the vehicle, you're going to want to lean forward and move your head this way to get out of the vehicle. And so you want to make sure that even with a very low roof profile, that you're able to get underneath that pillar without bumping your head and get in and out of the vehicle easily. Another consideration is leg swing. So you're going to want to, as you're getting in and out of the vehicle, you're going to want to be able to swing your leg out of the vehicle. As you can see, there's a huge distance between the occupant's positioning and the rocker, right? That's very typical in a high performance car because you're trying to keep the occupants as close to the center of the vehicle as possible, not only for optimum weight balance, but also to give the occupant more of the experience of being in a race car, which is in a center position. You also have to consider, even in a mid-engine car, that leg swing. You're gonna have to clear that. You're gonna have to clear that front wheel. So So if you position the occupant too far forward, they're not going to be able to swing their leg around that front wheel without really contorting their leg. So those are some key and critical considerations when positioning an occupant.